Before we get going, I need to thank our sponsors, AkzoNobel, for helping the industry's most important conversations to take place. So thank you to them. Without further ado, let's get going. Welcome to the ICOMIA podcast, where we're supporting the marine industry's most important conversations. Welcome everybody to the ICOMIA podcast. First of all, thank you very, very much to our sponsor, AkzoNobel, for helping these conversations take place. And the whole podcast is about the industry's most important conversations. So let's crack on and hear one of them. So I'm here with Joe, the CEO of ICOMIA.
Great to see you again, Ben.
Good to see you, Joe.
Thank you.
Let's hear a little bit about what's taking place and what the focus of ICOMIA is at the minute. So what projects are ongoing for ICOMIA?
As ever, we've got a huge amount on. It's really exciting and really stimulating the range of projects we get involved in. One big piece of work that never stops is our research about market statistics.
Okay.
So in November last year, we launched the latest edition of the ICOMIA Stat Book, which covers the global market research. Delighted to be working with IBI this year to get even more editorial insight added to the data we collect. But of course, as soon as you publish the data, people start asking for more. So we've already started collecting more data, newer data, and we're exploring different avenues that we can analyse and help our members understand the true size, the extent and the value of the data. So that's the very statistical side of things. We continue to work with our various technical committees, helping the industry develop the best practices and the standards for the whole spectrum of technology within our industry. So that's everything from how do you apply paint onto a super yacht, to how do you manage the pollutant risk of spraying in a shipyard, through to how do you design a marina so that it has the best possible impact on the local wildlife in the water and around the water, through to how do we train the next generation of people to be trainee skippers or for marina managers. The whole spectrum of technical side is really
so broad. Yeah.
And then even added onto that, we've got all the new emerging exciting technology of hydrofoiling, of autonomous design, of new propulsion systems, new types of fuels. How do we gather all that information to again help our industry make decisions based on data and insight, but also help to make sure we're all moving towards a safe and sustainable future for that technology.
So could you go a little further into these stats? So like what is a typical statistic or analytic that would be within this portfolio?
Good question.
That's actually really valuable to our businesses.
So wherever possible, we collect the number of boats sold in a year, split by size category. We look at the number of engines sold, and they're also split by size category. We look at the number of boats in what we call the boat park. How many boats are in service in that country in the given year? And then we overlay that a layer of insight from those experts within the ICOMIA community who really understand that market and can really talk about the trends that they're seeing. Is it driven by political climate, environmental laws, the economic situation of each country? And that's all collated into one big stats book. It runs for over 500 pages. It really is the world's leading insight. And so, of course, if you're planning a new product or a new service, you need to be able to understand the business. How big is it? Is it growing? Is it shrinking? What are the trends? And that's why people look to buy the ICOMIA statistics book.
Wow, okay. Impressive. It's super impressive, very, very useful, because I've heard the term before, like, okay, ICOMIA statistics book, it's a bunch of data, great. How does that really materialize into bottom line value for an organization? When you understand that level of detail,
if you're about to invest,
well, you're launching into a region. What's the market cap there?
Yeah.
What's the pain points? What's the sentiment? What kind of regulation are they concerned about battling, developing, whatever?
Thinking of designing and launching a boat for sale in Vietnam, we want to have an idea of how many you're likely to sell. If you're looking for funding to take over running or to even build a marina, we're talking big money here. You need to know how good and how healthy the market
investment.
is.
Make sure it's going to be really, really with resources allocated in the right place.
Absolutely.
Rather scattergun
It's a fundamental service we offer our members. Yeah.
Okay, super. Let's talk about the life cycle assessment. A big thing that's already impacting the industry and how we operate as an industry, and plenty to come in the following years. What's the involvement that ICOMIA has with the LCA?
Yeah.
How do you help that along?
Well, we've been involved heavily for 3 years, but we've only really been public for the last year.
Okay.
It was in November 2023 where we launched Propelling Our Future. And this was the first time we've seen such a detailed, comprehensive, data-driven, engineering-led, peer-reviewed report. And that looked at what are the options for decarbonisation of the propulsion system of leisure yachts, which is a long way of saying, how do we inform the consumers and the market to make the most environmentally responsible decision about their boat? Do I want an inboard diesel engine? Do I want an outboard petrol engine? Do I want sustainable fuels? Do I want an electric engine or electric propulsion system? What's the best option for me? And we've spent over a year presenting those results. We've been to over 20 countries presenting it firsthand, and our members have taken it to we don't know how many places. And we've really seen already opinions changing. The level of understanding and the level of debate has gone up incredibly, and that's really exciting.
Yeah, because it's quite hard to do, because you start with awareness and then it goes into kind of the education phase, and really framing the whole discussion is what the decarbonisation study has done, so that we're focusing on the right things with a real impact, rather than again scattergun go, well, I think this is going to be significant, I think this is going to be significant, so this really guides it into the right places.
It cuts through the hype. It stops people making claims that they can't justify, because it's built in data, the analysis is there. And over the last year, we've added another layer of analysis to that. Say, these last few months, we've been talking about the tipping point analysis. Because when you have a privately owned boat, it's very different to a ship. It's very different to a car that's used every day. Because we only use our boats a handful of times a year. That makes a huge difference to how much carbon is emitted during the life phase, the use phase of a boat. It can mean that in some instances there's more carbon embedded in the creation of the boat, the engine, the battery, the fuel, than there is in the lifespan of the boat. So the dynamics are unique to our industry. And this year we've added to that data by saying, here's the tipping point. If you're going to run your boat for 30 hours a year, here's the best solution.
Okay, yeah.
If you're going to run your boat for 200 hours a year, well, firstly, congratulations, lucky you.
Well done.
But then the formula, the dynamic changes.
Yeah.
So we're making that information available.
Yeah, but say it's a charter operator who might achieve those kind of hours in a year, then their decisions that are most environmentally responsible might actually be different initiatives to a normal recreational boater that would be a fraction of that.
And that takes us back to the one-line summary of this huge project, is there is no one-size-fits-all solution. In most cases, switching to sustainably produced liquid fuels, liquid replacements for petrol or diesel, which are available now, would make the biggest impact. And that can be dropped into existing engines now. No retrofitting. So that's a really exciting opportunity. But there are many heroes out there. And so as if we weren't busy enough doing that, what we've just agreed this week is to take that work and build upon that, working in collaboration with EVI, the European Boating Industry Association, who've also spent the last 2 years building a project to build up the body of knowledge we have about LCA, the life cycle assessment of our industry. And then we've also got a partnership with NMMA, which is the North American Marine Manufacturers Association. So suddenly we've got the world's community united behind a single strategy of using LCA as being the way we will measure and reduce and optimize the impact our industry makes.
Yeah.
And we won't just look at carbon, we will look at the entire spectrum of environmental factors. So, yeah, I'm incredibly proud that ICOMIA has played a part in bringing these people together. We're the conveners that taps into the expertise of our members, EVI's members, NMMA's members to create a global strategy based on LCA analysis.
Yeah, and it's really hard to do because the industry arguably is incredibly segmented. You've got different regions. It's very international in one sense, but it's also segmented and very different. So to bring all those together, so that actually, as the entire industry, the global industry, can be aligned.
Absolutely.
More long term, it makes a bigger difference, and there's not these conflicts where, oh well, in North America we do it very differently
Exactly
over
that.
there, so that's not going to be aligned with, for example, initiatives around the Mediterranean. So, yeah,
You've hit the nail on the head. And if you imagine if you're a large-scale international boat builder, if you're building your boats in Europe, you want to be able to sell them in the United States or Australia or Indonesia, and vice versa. You don't want to be producing this is the European compliant version,
Yeah.
here's the American
and
compliant
then having to
version.
redesign it so that it can be sold or appeal to the demographic in
Exactly
America
that.
or
Yeah.
the Middle East or whatever it might be. So
In this essence,
yeah,
we're making
totally.
the common language so that people can talk about, measure and understand what they think. We will understand and we'll buy into it. A big challenge, because as you look around the world, the industry is at different stages of development, not just in terms of their size, but in terms of how far down that sustainability journey they are. And also the resources available within the companies. So we have to find a way of supporting the small independent boat yard that might only build 1 or 2 boats a year through to the multinational corporations. So it's going to be big and it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, and difficult to do, but very impactful, very important.
Absolutely crucial. And it's, as an industry, we gladly take responsibility for managing our environmental footprint. And we desperately need to keep control of reducing that impact. And we want to show the world we are acting responsibly. These are the guidelines, the best practice, the standards that we're operating to, so that we can, where regulation is necessary, make sure it's sensible and it has the right consequences. We don't want somebody come out feeling bad. Without the understanding of our industry, use an anecdote to impose regulations on us that restricts our industry and could produce unintended negative consequences. Yeah. So it's really important that we're proactive and assume this responsibility.
Yeah, and I think there's 2 dimensions to that as well. There's one that is the bottom line impact, the emission measuring and the reduction and the reality of how sustainably are we operating. And I think also an important one is the perception.
Absolutely.
Because we're on the oceans, we're enjoying the seas. These are one of the key elements that will be impacted massively by anything to do with sustainability. So just from a perception and kind of a brand of the industry, if the boating industry isn't looking after our waters and the environment around us, how can we expect the customers that love and fund the industry to enjoy that environment? It's got to be sustained, it's got to be looked after and respected.
We have to, a good way to think about our industry is that we connect people to those special experiences that we all know and love. That time on the water, getting an adrenaline fix, racing around the cones with your mates, having a party, fishing, swimming, skiing, or even just sleeping.
It's nothing.
Relaxing. Just put the phone down, switch it off. We must be able to protect that access to those unique experiences, and that's why we take this responsibility, and we'll work tirelessly to create a more sustainable future, because that's going to be a successful future.
Let's talk about Congress.
Oh yes,
ICOMIA Congress, May 2025. Palma
de Mallorca.
What is this about? What are people looking forward to?
Congress it's a great name for it because it is the Congress. It's when all of the various people involved in ICOMIA come together. Literally just come together. We're together for 3 or 4 days. We have some quite specific technical meetings. We usually tour around aspects of the leisure boating industry on site, so we'll be looking around marinas in Palma de Mallorca, hopefully some boatyards to see how the bird boats there. But most importantly, we facilitate the exchange of information, knowledge, experiences, and support one another.
Yeah, I feel like without Congress, it would be incredibly rare to have so many entities that are involved in ICOMIA come together. Because there's industry events all the time throughout the world, but actually to have one specifically allocated to that really culminates the value, but also is just, it needs to take place. It's so important.
It's a Congress because it's not a show. It's not an exhibition. Nobody's selling anything.
Yeah.
We're not there to hit sales targets or leads. It's there just to connect with people like us from around the industry around the world and share experiences and help one another. And it's amazing how generous ICOMIA members are with sharing their expertise, their talent. We had this problem, but we solved it by doing this. And that might be an example from Croatia. And you see somebody in New Zealand thinking, oh, we've got that problem too.
We've not solved it yet.
Great, let's try that. You just, that openness, that willingness to share, that generosity of expertise is really quite special.
Yeah. And then later on in the year, we've got the World Marinas Conference. So October
in Venice.
Venice should be lovely. What is that about? Because it's still linked to ICOMIA, but it's slightly different to Congress. So how's that work?
Yeah, so the Marinas Conference is the ICOMIA World Marinas Conference. One of the working committees within ICOMIA is our Marinas group.
Yep.
It does exactly what it says on the tin.
Yep.
We get together to discuss the state of the art, the state of the industry, the challenges and the opportunities in marinas. And every 2 years, we host an event. Again, it's like a congress, it's a conference, it's not an exhibition. And it's specifically about the opportunities, the challenges of running marinas from around the world.
So it's hyper-focused into marinas.
Hyper-focused on marinas. We have delegations coming in from South America, already confirmed, South America, North America, throughout Europe, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, Australia, New Zealand, Turkey, Japan, China, and the list is growing.
I was going to say, you don't get much more international. So
really
it is truly about, it is the World Marinas Conference. It is the world, it's not just Europe, so it's a big thing. It's truly international.
Registration is going really quickly for that now. Our speaker profile is taking shape and it's looking good. But I was lucky enough to visit the site.
Yeah, good.
And it's quite unique and exciting. It's not a conference centre. We're doing this in a boatyard on an island in Venice.
I like that, yeah.
Because the host company have said that we want to demonstrate how powerful, what a force for good our industry is. And so this particular island, the island of Chatoriza, is a stone's throw from St. Mark's Square. It was a heavily polluted, disrupted military base, discarded military base. And through marine tourism, it's now transformed to being an eco-friendly tourism destination, bringing in high-value, low-volume tourism to the heart of Venice. And it's been marina tourism has been the catalyst. So we thought, well, let's have the conference on site.
Yeah, based on that narrative.
So you can see what we can do, how we can be a force for good. So that's going to be very exciting. You find the details of it through the ICOMIA website.
Yeah, we absolutely will. And we've also had John White on the podcast, so he went into lots and lots of detail about this. So yeah, watch that, enjoy it with the now chair of the ICOMIA Marinas Group.
Congratulations, John, and thank you.
Yes. All right, super. I think that's everything.
Great.
Yeah.
Great to see you again. Thank you for having the chance to share the important conversations.
Likewise, always. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Joe.
man.
Everybody, thank you for tuning in. I hope this has been insightful and useful to you. This has been the ICOMIA podcast, where the most important conversations are held. And a big thank you, as always, to AkzoNobel for helping these conversations happen. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.